Yeah, and you mentioned all the revenue drivers. We also signed a historic media deal since I was here last.
That's right.
Long-term media deal, which was important for the stability of the league.
Imagine being the hottest rookie in the WNBA, playing your heart out in the playoffs, and then bam, you get hit with a foul so obvious even my grandma could see it from her couch. But the refs, they act like nothing happened. That's exactly what went down with Caitlin Clark, and now the whole league is in chaos. Picture this. It's the Connecticut Sun versus Indiana Fever, and everyone's eyes are on Clark. The arena's electric, fans are going wild, and you can feel the pressure in the air. Clark's ready to show why she's the talk of the town.
But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. Absolutely lived up to expectations, exceeded them much more so as quickly as we thought coming off that historic draft.
Then, out of nowhere, it happens. Clark gets hit with a clothesline foul that's so blatant, you'd think you were watching wrestling, not basketball. Players' jaws drop, fans lose their minds, and the refs, they're acting like they just saw a unicorn, totally oblivious. You'd think that'd be the craziest part, right? Well, hold on to your seats, because this foul was just the beginning of a much bigger storm. That storm, it's turned into a full-blown hurricane. Why are fans saying the refs have given some players a license to do whatever they want? The answer might shock you. The Caitlin Clark playoff controversy has unleashed a tidal wave of outrage across the WNBA community. Fans are losing their minds over what they're calling a blatant disregard for fair play. Social media is blowing up with clips of the game, zooming in on every missed call and questionable decision. You've got die-hard supporters breaking down the footage frame by frame, pointing out moments where Clark seemed to get roughed up without any whistle. It's like watching a CSI episode, but instead of solving crimes, they're exposing what they see as the refs' incompetence. But here's where it gets really wild. Some fans and analysts aren't just mad about bad calls. They're throwing around some serious accusations.
Social media is different today than it was in 1979 when it didn't exist. But, you know, I always tell the players, you know, I was told a long time ago, if someone's typing something in and you wouldn't ask their advice, ignore it. Partners are stepping up to endorse these players, much more so than they were 5 years ago, because they see the benefit of having women and diverse women representing their brand.
They're saying the refs might be playing favorites based on race. Yeah, you heard that right. There's a growing buzz that Clark, being a white player, isn't getting the same protection as other star players in the league. This isn't just about one game or one player anymore. It's like someone ripped the bandage off a wound that's been festering in the WNBA for a while. We're talking about deep-rooted issues of race, fairness, and how the league handles its biggest stars.
These rookies have put on quite a season, and it's not just Caitlin and Angel, Rickea Jackson and other rookies are killing it this year. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two.
Think about it. If fans believe certain players have a license to do whatever they want on the court, what does that say about the integrity of the game? It's not just about missed calls anymore. It's about trust. Trust in the refs, trust in the league, and trust that every player is competing on an even playing field. The WNBA's been working hard to grow its fan base and showcase the incredible talent of its players. But now, with this controversy exploding, they're facing some tough questions. How do they address these accusations of bias? How do they make sure all players feel protected and respected on the court? This Clark situation isn't happening in a vacuum. It's shining a spotlight on tensions that have been simmering under the surface for a long time. We're talking about how race is perceived and dealt with in the league, how star players are treated, and whether there's a level playing field for everyone. Just when you thought the WNBA drama couldn't get any hotter, the league's top boss decided to throw a match into the powder keg. What did Cathy Engelbert say that has players, fans, and even the Players Association up in arms? The answer might make you question everything you thought you knew about the WNBA's leadership. So here's what went down. Cathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, thought she was making a smart move by comparing the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to the legendary Bird Magic matchups. Sounds great, right? Wrong. She basically walked into a minefield and set off every single explosive. Why? Because this isn't just about basketball skills, it's about race, respect, and how the league handles the tough stuff. Engelbert's comparison completely ignored the racial tension that's been bubbling up around Clark and Reese. It's like she was living in a different world where social media isn't a cesspool of hate and racism. And you know what's worse? She had a golden opportunity to stand up and say, hey, this racist garbage has got to stop. But instead, she just didn't. It's like showing up to a house fire with a water gun. Not exactly the leadership fans were hoping for. The backlash was swift and brutal. Players weren't having it. Breanna Stewart, one of the biggest names in the game, called it a straight up fumble. She basically said Engelbert's words didn't match up with what the league is supposed to stand for. Ouch. But it didn't stop there. The WNBA Players Association jumped in, and they weren't pulling any punches. Terry Jackson, their executive director, basically said Engelbert's silence on the hate speech was a big fat failure. She made it crystal clear, when you're in charge, you've got to step up and shut down the ugliness. Engelbert tried to do some damage control on social media. She came out and said there's no place for hate or racism in the WNBA. But here's the thing, it felt like too little, too late. Fans and players were looking for her to really lay into the toxic behavior, not just give it a gentle tap on the wrist. This whole mess has blown the lid off some serious issues in the WNBA. It's not just about one rivalry or one comment anymore. We're talking about how the league deals with race, how it protects its players, and whether the people in charge really get what's going on. Just when the WNBA thought the storm was passing, the real thunder rolled in. The players' response to this controversy, it's not just loud, it's changing the entire landscape of the league. And the person leading the charge might surprise you. You'd think after all the drama, players would be laying low, right? Wrong. They're stepping up in a way we've never seen before, and it's sending shockwaves through the entire WNBA. The WNBPA didn't just speak up, they dropped a bomb on Cathy Engelbert's comments. They called her out for not shutting down the racism and negativity players are facing. Terry Jackson, the WNBPA's executive director, didn't mince words. She said there is absolutely no place in sport or in life for the vile hate, racist language, homophobic comments, and the misogynistic attacks our players are facing on social media. But it's not just the Players Association making noise. Some of the biggest stars in the game are speaking out too. Breanna Stewart, one of the league's top players, straight up called Engelbert's remarks a fumble. She's not alone. Players like Alicia Clark and Michaela Onyenwere jumped on social media to share their frustration. This isn't just about one bad call or one tone-deaf comment anymore. The players are forcing the WNBA to face some hard truths about race, respect, and how they protect their athletes. It's like they've decided enough is enough, and they're not going to sit quietly while their league fumbles the ball on these crucial issues. The WNBPA is making it clear, leadership matters. They're saying the league's response to racism and discrimination isn't just important, it's make or break for the WNBA's future. It's like they're holding up a mirror to the league and saying, take a good hard look at yourself. This unified response from the players is a game changer. It's forcing the WNBA to confront its issues head on. We might be looking at some big changes in how the league handles these sensitive topics. Maybe new policies to protect players from online hate, or stricter consequences for racist behavior. One thing's for sure, the players aren't backing down. They're demanding action, not just words. And with so many stars speaking out, it's getting harder for the league to ignore the problems. So, here we are, the WNBA is in full meltdown mode. From that crazy playoff foul on Caitlin Clark to players speaking out, it's been one wild ride. But you know what? This might be exactly what the league needs. Think about it. All this drama is shining a light on some big issues. Racism, player safety, how the refs call games. It's all out in the open now. And yeah, it's messy, but it's also a chance for real change. The players aren't backing down, they're demanding action, not just empty words. And the league? They've got no choice but to listen. We might see new rules, better protection for players, maybe even a shakeup in how things are run. And here's the million-dollar question. Is this the wake-up call the WNBA needs to finally support all its players equally? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, things can't stay the same.